Life doesn't usually fall apart all at once. It unravels piece by piece, often so subtly that we don't even notice the chaos creeping in until it's already taken over. One missed bill turns to two, a car repair gets delayed, your pantry goes bare, a late notice shows up at your door. What begins as a single loose thread can quickly become the unraveling of your stability, security, and peace of mind. There's a principle known as the four walls. They represent the foundational areas of your life that must be protected at all costs. When any of these four areas are compromised, everything else is at risk. But when you guard them intentionally and consistently, you create a buffer against the chaos, no matter what life throws your way. I first heard of the four walls principle many years ago from financial expert Dave Ramsey. He says these represent the essential areas of life that must be protected to keep everything from spiraling out of control and causing chaos in your life. And they are food, utilities, shelter, and transportation. Neglecting even one of these can cause a domino effect. So the metaphor of the four walls is because your life is like a house, and these are the four walls that hold it together. So when one of those walls falls down, of course, the entire house would come crumbling down, which is kind of ironic because I feel like that's what we're working with in our lives right now at the homestead, where things are, that house was not built right. We're having to redo a lot of things. And then this house, everything just keeps breaking here. The sink was flooding like all the time. The refrigerator stopped working. We had just replaced our deep freezer. I just had to get a new washer and dryer last year. My refrigerator right now, I just bought in 2019, so it seems early for it to already go out. We had the AC go out last month, remember? So it's just been so many things. Let's talk about those four walls. So, one of the first of the four walls is food. And I actually want to add to these four walls here in a moment, just as I kind of recap really where my mind has been the past few weeks. We've been facing a spiritual attack, I feel. But, um, but when I look back, I can see how things, it was just one little loose thread that unraveled and everything just kind of went chaotic from there. So let's talk about food. Of course, when you don't have access to healthy food, that can affect your health very negatively. For me, I try to eat healthy most of the time, but when I'm feeling sick is when I tend to reach for the comfort foods. And as you guys know, I've actually been sick a couple of times this year. And Art and my mother both got very sick there for a while. I was very concerned for them, but I was sick at the same time and didn't really want to say anything to anybody because I was so worried about them. I didn't want to take the focus off of that and let anyone know that I also wasn't feeling well. But anyway, I tend to not eat right when I'm sick, or I'm eating a bunch of crackers or whatever, just trying to keep nauseation down, or, things like that. So I know food security is a big deal. That's not, I don't have that issue, but I know that's a big deal for a lot of other people. So that could be something that you are facing or someone that you know is facing. I did in the past work for um, a local resource center here in our community, and we did have a food pantry and everything. So if you do find yourself in that situation, I encourage you to look at your community resources or your local churches for food banks or anything like that near you. And at our resource center, we actually did utility assistance once a year and rental assistance for people in need. So if you are in a situation like that, you could definitely look into those services as well, because it might help you to at least get out of a rut and get to the next step. Now, I will say for us, I have felt so stressed with the finances piling up and everything, but we're not, I mean, I praise God, we're not in that type of situation. We're not in like a dire situation. I don't think Art and I would allow ourselves to get there because we're older now. We have more wisdom and we've learned from mistakes that we made maybe when we were younger. So even though, I mean, we're both very stressed out because we're trying to live on one income at the moment. And that's just too much stress on Art, first of all, especially with his heart. Um, he doesn't, his heart, he has a bad heart. So, we just have to be very careful and cautious there. And he works way too many hours. And so, I mean, to be totally, completely honest with you guys, one of my big motivators for trying to make a success of these channels is to eventually retire Art. I worry about how hard he works, how much he works. And he loves his job. And I wouldn't want him to fully retire or anything. But he works so hard and he does not get compensated for what he actually does, not well enough, I don't believe. So anyway, that is one of my main motivators. I do have a nephew that had a very successful YouTube channel, and that was what motivated us to get started back in 2021 to begin with. So anyway, enough about that. Let's talk more about the four walls. So the next one is utilities. So obviously, when you have, which I don't know why utilities is before shelter, but let's talk about shelter first. So, so shelter, obviously, you need a roof over your head. That is essential for your four walls, right? You need shelter and safety and security with a home or a living situation, right? If you are not secure in your living situation, um, that that can cause everything else to become chaotic. So right now, like I said, I don't want to compare our situation to anyone who is really in a really bad situation or in an unsafe situation or in jeopardy of losing their home or anything like that. We're not in that type of situation. Our problem is that we purchased a homestead, which is 90 minutes away from my house. Art lives and works out there. The homestead has no water to it. We do have electricity out there, but we don't have water out there, so we don't have bathrooms or anything like that. We do not have AC yet, and it has gotten very hot. We have a huge hive of carpenter bees underneath the front patio, so it's not even safe to like open the windows and try to create a breeze or anything because of the bees. So anyway, that is our current situation, is that uh, Art's income is covering the bills at both properties, and right now it's taking all of his income to do that. I have depleted my savings and everything. I was hoping my tax return would help a little bit. It did not. Um, so that's why I need to get back to work full time. I truly do. I truly want to. But we are at this standstill right now because I don't want to get a job here. And then, as soon as I have an income, we'll be able to finish our renovations at the homestead and then sell this house. And then we'll be down to one home that we're taking care of. And then I'll be living out there, not having this 90-minute commute both ways, or 90-minute commute. Yeah. So it's a 3-hour drive if you drive out there and then drive back in one day, right? So anyway, so that is why I don't want to get a job here, because as soon as we have the money to do our renovations, then I'll be leaving to go over there. So hopefully, if I had a full-time job, I would think that we could get those renovations done in just a few months. But I don't want an employer to have to train me. That's a lot. Um, that's a lot to ask of an employer, to invest in training me and spending the time and resources to do that, and then I'm just going to leave them in a few months. I don't want to do that. and I don't want to go ahead and go get a full-time job out there because, first of all, I have nowhere to stay out there until we get the homestead livable. um, I don't have anywhere to stay out there. So it would be silly to spend 3 hours in the car driving back and forth every day. I would be spending so much in gas money. There still wouldn't be enough money left to do any renovations, not to mention then I would be exhausted. I wouldn't be able to finish working on the channel or anything. And we've invested a ton of time and resources into these channels. So we still need me to have enough time to work on these, right? So that is why we're waiting for me to go back to like a corporate job or something, back into the business field until I get moved out there and can actually find some stability. So for me, I feel like um, job security is one of those threads that can quickly unravel and cause everything else to unravel as well. But going back to the food thing, like I was saying, health, I feel like job security and health security are like the top two things for me, because it's like when those two things are out of balance, everything else just seems to fall apart. But let's get back to Dave Ramsey's original four walls. Okay, so according to the four wall concept, the last two walls are utilities and transportation. So for utilities, like let's just use the example of maybe you have a coworker that you work with or something, and their electricity has been shut off or anything like that, you might see, even if they're trying to hide it. I've had this situation where I've worked at places in the past where I did have coworkers that were struggling with those things and they were too prideful to let anybody know. And, that can affect someone's mental health, especially if they have children and they're worried about their children. Without electricity, especially if it's in the middle of winter when everything's super cold, or in the middle of summer when everything's super hot, that's even worse. But without electricity, you don't have a refrigerator that's keeping your food cold or whatever. Um, there's just so many things that go to that. Without electricity, you don't have a washer and dryer, or, just all of the things. So as you fall behind on one bill or something, it can just really spiral out of control. Also, if anyone is watching this that is struggling financially in that way, um, I have not been late on a bill in decades, actually, because I had an ex-husband that was chronically late on bills. And so after my divorce, I took over that and swore I would never let anybody get me in that situation ever again. Let me just say that if you will call your creditors and just keep in contact with them, they are going to be much more likely to work with you if you stay in communication. And there are ways to pull yourself out of the rut if you are in one. Um, just to get yourself back on track to where you're on time with everything. That's what you should focus on first. So, if anybody is watching this and you want to talk more about that, I would love to help anyone that's struggling in that way, because I've been through that when I was young and my kids were young. I think, like I said earlier, it's something that you learn over the years. You become a little more wise and you learn how to get out of those situations a little better. But let me go back to kind of what we've been going through. We're not in that type of situation. Okay, so I got way off track there because as I was talking about the four walls and everything, I really started thinking deep about, um, originally I was aiming more towards people that were in similar situations to us, but then my mind started thinking about more um, people that are in a more dire situation, and I didn't want to leave those people out or assume that everybody is in a more stable situation. So I kind of got way off track there. But going forward with this video, I'm going to assume that most everyone watching this has a stable roof over their head and everything. So really what I had wanted to talk about was the actual concept of the four walls and protecting your four walls and everything, but then to share how I feel like for me, it's when my health is impacted that it seems like everything spirals out of control from there. Because when my health declines, then I can't work or whatever, I might lose some income from that. One thing I've noticed on videos for sure, I've noticed it in real life too, but I see it on videos and it's so embarrassing because I know other people can see that. But when my health is bad, I gain weight and it's from the stress. If you ever wonder if I'm under a lot of stress, you can see it in my face because I swell, I retain water, I get bags under my eyes. It just doesn't, it's horrible. And that has been definitely the case lately because I've just had so much stress and it just seems like one thing after another keeps attacking us. And Rocky had to go back to the vet again today. That was another, I think Aiden said, $500 charge that he had to put on my card. Um, that's the third time in a month that we've had to take Rocky back to the vet. So um, it's just, it's something constantly. But anyway, I didn't want to really dwell on myself. I just wanted to talk about how when we are impacted by our health, or like when our AC went out and washer and dryer went out and now the refrigerator, just all of these different things that pile up. It's just one little thread that it, or one wall that caves in and then the rest just start tumbling down. But also I do want to say that I do think a lot of times it is a spiritual attack, not just for me, but probably you guys have been through that as well at some point in your past. So what I wanted to share today is how you get yourself out of that. It really starts with just one step at a time. Like, what are those sayings that they always say? Like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Or um, how do you boil a frog? Slowly, right? So, where I'm going with that is just to say that you just have to do get yourself to accomplish one thing a day. And so, like for me, where I have felt like we're just drowning in all of these things, so I had to start looking, how can I bring in some income? I mean, I know I've got my nursery stuff that will start creating a little bit of income, not enough, but a little bit. And so I shared in a video yesterday, if you're new here, about how I tried to start donating plasma, but I was not a candidate, so that was a waste of my life. But that, anyway, I did sign up for some of the delivery driver apps, and so now I'm doing that, and I'm going to be sharing a few more videos over that. I especially want to I want to try like a 1 day thing to see like how much do I actually make in a full day. I want to try one for like what can I make in a full week. I'm going to make videos about these. Um, and then also looking at how much I can bring in a month through all of the different things and what my expenses are at the end of that month. So if you are thinking about doing any of those gig assignments like that, I will include my referral links in the description. If you use those links, it would mean the world to me. Or if you know anyone thinking about signing up for any of these things and you want to share my links with them, that would mean so much to me. And right now we are Amazon affiliates and we do share Amazon links in almost all of our videos. And so anytime that you click on one of our Amazon links, even if you don't purchase what I'm talking about in the video, if you just make a purchase from Amazon within 24 hours, then we earn commission off of your purchase. And so, and same for you guys. If any of you out there are Amazon affiliates, let me know, because if you order from my links, I will gladly order from yours. So, anyway, this is a subject that I could ramble on and on about forever. So, I don't want to do that, but I am getting ready to get our website back up to date. There have been several articles that I have wanted to publish out there and just haven't had time, but I'm getting ready to dive back into those and get caught up and stay caught up on our blog articles on the website. And so one of my next articles that actually I've already started writing it. I just need to get it published out there, but it's about this subject. And I'm a much better writer than I am speaker. So I think I can condense this and make more sense in an actual article. So if you want any more information about that, I will put the link in the description as soon as the article is posted. And if you need any resources, if you are in a bad situation and you need someone to talk to, I would be happy to be that person for you. One more thing, over on our other channel, Second Mile DIY, if you are new here, that is our main channel. We are working on setting up our memberships over there and everything. I'm assuming anybody that is in a bad situation isn't going to be interested in memberships right now, but maybe if you have your own YouTube channel, maybe it will inspire you. I don't know. Or maybe you know someone that's interested in home and garden stuff. So anyway, if you are interested in any of that stuff, you can go check that out at Second Mile DIY. And where I was going with that, I will just save that for a DIY video, which I need to record next. So before I end this video, I do want to give you some final thoughts on the 4 walls. And if you find yourself in a situation like this, or even in the future, maybe you'll reflect back on this. But just remember to take it one step at a time and just look into community resources that can help you, and just start rebuilding. And it's kind of like boarding up the walls on your house before a hurricane or something, right? Um, you rebuild those walls, and when those walls are secure, then your foundation is secure, basically. So anyway, remember to go the second mile today for someone in your life and with your resources. And if you want to continue this conversation, let me know. Otherwise, I will be back tomorrow with some more Uber Eats and DoorDash videos to let you guys know how that's turning out. Thanks for watching. I love you guys. Bye.